you gotta help Kiwis. It's the law of the land. When you see a needy Kiwi, be sure to lend a hand. Because if you don't take the time to do a helpful deed, then no one's gonna help you in your time of need.
The fight, take off the badge and I try and find the light. You and your love, oh, you saved me from that fate. I'd almost gone straight.
Jody, 98.5 FM, RDU Mornings, just gone 9 o'clock here on the show. Lindon Puffin's in the studio. He's just come back from a massive long tour. He's looking like the cat just dragged him in here in the studio. Lindon, you gave us a call from all sorts of places around the country. It was fantastic having you on, but why on earth did you do it?
Man, well, I don't know, I suppose I wanted to see the country, I wanted to take my music to people who are not used to seeing it, you're in a rock band, just go to the main centres and shit, but it's, was it worth it? I don't really know, to be perfectly honest, I'm completely fucked.
Yeah, poor thing.
Yeah, I might just go to sleep right here, just here.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, get out the violins, no, it's not that bad, I'm fucking pleased to be back, but it's over now. Alright Woody, so it's January 03 and after a long year of planning in which I drove the entire route in my rusty old Falcon booking shows and making promises, I'm now facing the heartbreaking reality that I just can't squeeze all my shit into some kitsch 60s caravan. And so with only 3 weeks to go till the tour kicks off, I placed this dubious wee ad in the local paper stating that a responsible mature couple, me and Rick, would like to hire a motorhome from Feb to May. Now I guess the gods must have appreciated the humour, because unbelievably this trusting couple replies and offers us this. Now considering Maui's special deal of 21 grand, Rachel and Aaron's 3k for the whole tour was, well, just downright lucky, or so we thought at the time. And then straight back home where we gutted all but the bare essentials before cramming it full of every little thing we thought we'd need for the 4 months ahead. I mean, it was more like a boat in that regard. We wouldn't be passing back through port on the way round, we had to tick it off now, and as the stress peaked, I can only hope the meds would follow suit. But come the 11th hour, we were finally on the way. And with not a minute's sleep in the last 48 hours, it was a surreal feeling to finally hit the road, knowing that when we returned, our dusty driveway would be thick with winter mud. In reality, it was somewhat of an anticlimactic beginning. You see, that night's tour launch would have to wait until I'd paid a visit to Rangiora High School for what would be the first of 30 music workshops across the country. Having arrived a bit early, we took a wander around the yards to see if it was still the evil sinkhole it was when I attended. And sadly it was. But herein lies the motivation for wanting to conduct these classes. It was high time to put years of whinging behind me, front up and do what I could to offer a little artistic inspiration in the belly of a system that more often than not taketh away. Okay, so I'll admit it helped secure some funding, but I was genuinely passionate about the need to promote creative thinking. Hell, I don't remember a single working artist being brought in to talk to us. In fact, I think I was banned from the music rooms. And now here I was, ranting away to a class full of bemused teenagers, trying desperately to stick to a hypothetical lesson plan, while the Ministry of Education sat at the back taking notes and evaluating my debut performance. Speaking of which, it was time to head back into town, unveil the new album, and kick off this tour to a full house of faithful locals at the legendary Ducks Deluxe in Christchurch! So the tour finally kicks off, tomorrow I pack up the motorhome and then take off to Timaru on Friday. So yeah, big gig in Timaru. Straight through Ash Vegas, man. I'm big in Ash Vegas. And she was standing in the kitchen, watching the rain attack the waterfront, coming across her domain. Across her domain. So how can yesterday's solution seem perfectly wrong? We checked our options, somehow the magic had gone. Yeah, and the magic wasn't the only thing that had gone. Me and Rick confirmed the dog when we were actually on the road and heading south. Last night's gig still ringing in our ears. Now, rolling along the open road, we quickly gained an appreciation for the tank-like noise levels in the cab, making conversation virtually impossible, which wasn't all that bad considering that I'd only met Rick a few times before. Still, plenty of time for that in the months ahead as we rumble into Timaru. Now, the shows will be pretty quiet if no one knows you're playing, so you got to fast talk your way into interviews on radio stations that wouldn't normally have you or play your music. And in this case, if you were planning a come down, Port FM's drive host served the boys up a cold, hard, less non-commercial prerogative.
I'll get you to have a yak to, then you quickly play a song and
just
call it a day.
Yep. This is the first in the apart from the tour launch at the Christchurch a couple of months ago. This is the first out-of-town gig for 46 shows. So.
Oh, that's good. I'll just let you start. To be perfectly honest, I've never heard of it before. That's all I heard from the weekends.
Yep.
So, yeah, you know, just
that's
say,
why I'm here for, man, because people don't know about me. That's the thing.
Nice.
Yeah.
That's all right. So I'll just, you know, cruise with you.
You throw on, I'll try and catch, man. As they put it.
I was going to do my movie.
You're not home. So you're putting aside Timaru's radio stations, it does have one of the best record stores in the country, Radiant Records. This is its owner-operator, a guy called Warren, who has the most amazing selection of vinyl, old, rare imports, collectibles, DVDs and mags and badges and shit. But out the back, he showed us something else which he's also very passionate about. Yeah, he called it the Elvis Room, cranked up Hound Dog on a huge stereo, and beside the usual paraphernalia, he had a brass Elvis bust and this collectible 50s Christmas record. Next stop was the Purple Lizard on the main drag. Now this is the setup routine we go through for just about every show, and no, it's not exactly Zeropa, but then again a lot of the venues had never had live music, and so it'd take a couple of hours to set the scene, during which you try and wolf down some food before getting back into it. With a cheap tablecloth backdrop, a few tufts of toy, a pint-sized mirror ball and a tangle of Christmas lights, we were rocking. Lastly, we'd check the PA and shake the windows just in time for the first punters to arrive and hopefully be sort of impressed. Meanwhile, I'd sneak back into the bus, warm up the voice, pull on the suit, find the zone, get back on the stage, where in this case, I was gate crashed by an enthusiastic middle-aged local who, despite not knowing any of the lyrics, decided she'd join the band. Next morning we're heading for Oamaru, reflecting on last night's gig. Had a good run on t-shirts, sold about 9, only a few CDs though. It's quite a good crowd, the owners were cool. After the pack down though in a bark garden next to where the boat was parked in a back street, I dry reached and collapsed. I think just from all the exhaustion of getting it to this point. Not the best way to start a 4-month tour though. Now, Oamaru is a great place, man. The old precinct is something else. And following a workshop with the Waitaki colleges, I found myself learning to ride a penny farthing. Actually, it's not that hard. It's, just like riding a bike. Now, Clarky, the guy running along beside me, he not only owns this antique, but he also manages tonight's venue, the legendary Penguin Club. With its thick smoke-stained limestone walls and a poster collection going back decades, it's one of those rare venues with character and history. However, before we're allowed into soundcheck, Clarky takes us on a tour of the artists and residents who habitate and draw inspiration from this amazing space. Now this chaos is the work of visual artist sculptor Donna Demente, and she was flat out putting the final touches on a collection of poems on glass for an exhibition opening back up in Christchurch that night, and so we left her to it and went in search of the infamous Michael O'Brien, bookbinder, philosopher, agitator.
And put on the bar, get the $100 bill out.
People just know. My friend used to do lines of Raro, but then he
That's very silly.
That was very silly. Yeah, his nose started bleeding and didn't stop bleeding for quite a few years. Yeah,
So
and
it's
then-
either
and
there
then
or you take a pinch, one or
And
the
then
other.
you whip this under your nose.
Yeah, and then you go.
And you stuff like this. Okay. Give this a go then.
That's it.
It's like a Fleetwood Mac there. So I totally think that this is the most conservative age that is
We need to redefine your language. Because I've gone through this period
Conservative.
since Clarky and I got arrested in Grasney. We all got arrested over an issue, which was a civil war in Oamaru, and it redefined the word conservative for me.
Really?
Conventional is the word.
Conventional.
Yes, when you think conservative, I'll debate with you this later on, but I will guarantee that take out the word conservative and put in conventional. That's your word.
Okay.
Because I'm very conservative. I like to conserve good aspects of the past. But conventional people, like for example, restoring this, that's not normal. Normal is the shopping mall. That's conventional. And now you've got the Prime Minister saying that's what it's about, adventure tourism. So you've got the most magnificent landscape in the world. That's not enough. You've got to see it hanging upside down on a rubber band, and or going against some wall, or out of it. It's like you say, it's out of it. It just makes no sense.
Yeah, we eventually got ourselves into the Penguin Club, where setup was a breeze thanks to the fact they had their own PA and lights. Unfortunately, local turnout was a bit disappointing, but considering my health, a laid-back show was probably for the best.
Hey, make sure your love is radio. Your next show. So merry bow ride on a 9-meter swell. Handrail windswept vision of hell.
Next morning we got up and rung the AA, who came and started the motorhome because we'd run the batteries flat, leaving the lights on in the cab while I was playing. Took it for a bit of a joyride to charge up the batteries and ran into these boys.
He pulls up early in the morning and the surf's pumping out here off the point there. And he's so excited to be here. He comes up, it's quite icy, and he rips on the handbrake and he starts sliding towards the cliff, and he's thinking, oh no, I'm going to go off the cliff. So he jumps out of his car and rolls out of his car, and his car 180s and just bellies over the cliff here.
Well, we anchored the boat up in a paddock next to Clarky's house and slept for a couple of days. And then reorganised the chaotic chambly that was our gear. Got the posters and press sorted for the week ahead and continued on our journey south. Second week of the tour began in Dunedin. Logan Park High, and hopefully a chat with one of my all-time heroes and toy fanatic. No, not that guy.
Martin, I remember, instead of answering a biology exam, wrote a song in reply. It wasn't received too well, but it was a very creative song.
The fickleness of the public, the trend aspect is very frustrating, but I guess we've been through a severe one. I mean, the Chill's real peak in terms of public perception was in the late 80s, early 90s. And it really shocked me after that initially, because prior to that we'd kept sort of getting bigger and bigger, and it really looked like things were gonna happen sort of long term, and it fell apart, and absolutely completely. But it didn't destroy my desire or need to make music, so I just learned to accept that was always going to be the case. And the kind of people who come on board only when it's fashionable, I have less respect for, so I'm not too worried if they disappear again.
Now, like most performers, I get pretty wired post-show, and sleep's not an immediate option, so you might as well drive into the night and try and get a little closer to the next town. Which is Invercargill in this case. Now, out of 108 nights, we would spend a grand total of 9 in actual motor camps, and would end up pretty versed in the art of rest area roulette, which goes something like, no, the next one's definitely going to be better, and anyway, it'll be closer, we won't have to get up so early in the morning. I was beginning to realise the reality of booking a breakfast interview in a town 4 hours on from the one I was leaving. Now, I think it's pretty widely accepted that Mayor Tim Shadbolt has played a big part in the rebirth of Invercargill, and so it's easy to overlook his first passion, which is poetry.
Helen of Troy wasn't built in a day, and neither was Freeman's Bay, but they smashed it down for £500 and built a motorway. Now Jack was born in the house he owns. It was built by his grandfather, and now they say both he and the Bay have got in the way of council flats and a motorway, and he'll end up in fire and damnation if he doesn't accept government's valuation of his life. Freeholder, you ask for a home. It's against the law, of course, but we'll accommodate you if you'll excuse the pun and sign the hardship clause. They conscripted Jack, do you know, for freedom in 41, but he soon went down at El Alamein in the fight for a place in the sun. And a British sub torpedoed him on the way to a prison camp, and a Cat 98 torpedoed his home by building a motorway ramp. For 3 long years a prisoner of war in Rome and Germany, and now he's a prisoner once again in the chains of bureaucracy. Yes, Jack, you fought for freedom, but it can't have been your own, for you cannot swap those war scars for a humble, debt-free home.
Now, the gig that night at the Frog and Firkin on the main drag didn't kick off till midnight, so after sound check, we had a bit of time to kill. Took the camera down the main street to see what the locals were up to.
The bedroom floor 'cause he's hungry, and the only way to feed him is to sleep with the man for a little bit of money, and his daddy's gone. So we're smoking rock now, in and out of lockdown. I ain't got a job now, so for you this is just a good time. For me, it's what I call life.
Yeah, an amazing voice from the streets of Invercargill who told us that they got hassled by the boy races a lot. And so we went and jumped in one of their cars to find out where they were coming from, or going to.
It's 3 litre, fuel injected, twin cam, 24 valve V6.
Nice.
She hauls RC.
And what, I see we haven't got tyres on this one, we've got bits of rubber.
Yeah, last weekend got back from Monkey Island and got air in it, eh?
got air in it? So how?
I was doing 210 and fucking, there's this bump on this long stretch.
Yeah.
In fact, the back wheels just lifted off in the front and goes,
Nice. But was there anyone else in the car?
Yeah.
These guys over here?
No, my stepsisters, mate.
And were they fearing for their lives?
She was just about crying.
Is Invercargill good?
Yeah, good for a good night's piss and a bit of scrapping.
Bit of scrapping?
A lot of pussy.
A lot of pussy. Scrapping pussy. Valentine's Day. That's nice kind of Valentine's Day. What a romantic guy you are. As it turned out, the gig that night, the Frog and Firkin, was packed. But that's probably because the Super 12 and a wet t-shirt competition was on. But I had nothing to worry about morally. I'd been saved earlier on.
Father, in the precious name of Jesus, Lord, we pray, Lord, from this evening forward that you will open up, precious Lord, all of Aotearoa, Lord, to these men that are, Lord, going about interviewing different people and different groups of people from Cape Ranga, Lord, right down to Stewart Island, and wherever else they travel in the world. May they know the goodness and the hand of the Lord upon Jesus.
Yeah, there's no doubting the boys got more than they bargained for in Invercargill. But if you're going to do a job, you might as well do a job properly. And besides, it's not a real New Zealand tour until you front up at the South Sea Hotel on Stewart Island. Amen. Look around your little town by the sea. It's painted boats and duffel coats, oh lucky me. I'm heading south, river mouth, been here before. The same old creek, I'm ankle deep at your door. Others would move, pack up mainland, but you said this is where we belong, between the right and the wrong, laying the memories to rest when yesterday's gone. You said this is where we belong, between the weak and the strong. Oh, I just hope we're human enough to know when to let go and when to hold on. When Well, the weather continued to worsen following our Fovo ferry ride, cancelling the afternoon's fishing trips and filling the hotel with a 50-strong group of bored and drunken Chevrolet bull stud farmers from Southland. And then we turn up like red rags. And what do you know, it's time to play some fucking Neil Diamond already and own up about our sexuality, which was apparently in question. Now, if you submit to this shit, you're done for. You gotta give back without flinching in order to attain good cunt status. And if you don't want to play that game, stick to the cafes and the main centres and miss out on the raw beauty of places like this and after parties with crates and Fleetwood Mac's greatest hits and middle-aged women who want to towel you down and rip your shirt off. But as apprehensive as I was, the gig went off. In fact, we sold 13 CDs that night, which is equal per capita to nearly 300,000 on the mainland. And saying that though, when it was all over, 5 hours of it, we escaped outside for a cool down on the beach in the midnight rain and ran into this honest young fisherman. What's it like growing up in Stewart Island, man? Because it looks like a fucking great place. Like
primo place, man. Fucking primo, eh? If I had kids, that's where I bring them up, eh? But fucking most of the rich people come here, man. And they're just gonna fuck this place, eh? You know, like our copper here and all that, man. Years and years ago, shit used to go down and locals sorted it out. Now it's the cop, you know.
Did there not used to be a cop on the island here?
Nah. Used to be mafia style here, man.
Really? Like what?
Style, man.
How? What do you mean?
Nah, I won't get into that sort of shit. But
no, cool. I understand.
Like, you know, fucking. Yeah, what went down, the locals sorted it out. You know, there was none of this fucking.
And that worked.
Filth. Yeah, and it worked. But I mean, you learn. You grow up. You get older. Fucking shit goes on. You know, people fucking. Say sort your shit out, or that's it, you know, and you do. And over here it's such a small community, you fucking fuck up once, you learn, and fucking shit goes down, you know.
Man, talk about keeping it really real. I mean, imagine if we turned up at the tourism department with our camera and asked them about life on the island.
Kia ora, welcome to Stewart Island. More space in a small place. Please take one of our helpful brochures. We've got diving, tramping.
So I swapped a CD and t-shirt for a hungover fishing trip the morning after, where Rick's inner city boy was outed and he decided not to take part in the actual fishing. Yeah, in saying that though, we were becoming quite a team. The hours were destructive to say the least, and yet 3 weeks into it, the gigs, the workshops and the film were all rocking along better than planned. And while we were sad to leave the island behind and be reunited with our stinking boat, didn't want to start every morning, we were now heading northward, across this great southern land and toward the west coast. So here we are, and nearly finished the ice cream. The reason I stopped in the town we're in, this is Dipton. Dipton's about, I don't know, maybe 3/4 an hour out of Invercargill on the way to Queenstown. And we stopped here to get an ice cream from Siggy's.
And every person who visits Dipton should have a fridge magnet.
Well, thank you very much. Hey, I'm really touched. Now, we've just learnt from the shop down the road here that this is the town that Bill English comes from.
You didn't know that?
No, we didn't know.
You did not know that. I'm sorry, you just have to move.
New words, the words I have not told, they gather for the night. I send them out each day, each tolling on its own. They reach I know not where, they bounce back reeling, some ready to break, some merely echoing. They bring back their news of the day, told in each one's way. They come back tired, relieved to be home. That's when there's a poem in it.
Man, Bill was as pleased as Punch with his new fridge magnet, and doesn't he read Sam Hunt well for a wannabe Minister of Education? Meanwhile, I was getting increasingly frustrated with the uncontainable mess of our interior. Thing is, if we left the crates stacked, they'd fall over with the sway. We needed a new plan, and I was struggling to keep up with the promotion and accounting, and sooner or later something had to give. Yep, the romance of touring was starting to be overpowered by the growing smell of 2 men and a dog in a shrinking space. Fortunately though, the high school workshops continued to be a healthy outlet for my frustrations, and while I ranted lyrical at the students of Wakatipu High, that temperamental boat, it had been sent to the dry dock for a much needed checkup. When I come onto the stage now, these things here lift the riser that comes up through a hole in the floor, and there's big smoke machines that you're not here now, but they throw smoke up in red light, and I come up like this, and the whole thing will rise up out of the floor in the local. So like some of the lighting rig we've got over here. It's just a couple of builder's lights, but you chuck some gels on there and really, the whole thing blows out. I'm coming like this, and I've got like wires attached to my back and that. Then I come off the stage and literally fly over the top and fly by wire across the audience. Sort of bit Bon Jovi, but it's working, and it's going to work tonight in the Bannockburn Hotel, that's for sure. Ah, okay. So maybe the engine's not the only thing running a bit rough, and before I got to tune up as well, we split in search of tourist town celebrities to flesh out our film. So you're doing New Zealand, anyway?
I'm visiting a friend here at the moment. I'm working on a film down on the North Island. Yeah.
Oh, up in the North Island at the moment, okay.
Yeah.
But that's not that big one, old Tom Cruise and those guys.
That's the one. That's the one. Yeah.
Are we going to be up there in a few weeks doing a bit of playing some shows and doing some stuff? It's nice up there at the moment. Not as cold as it is down here.
I don't know. I mean, being English, it doesn't bother me. This weather. It feels like you know. Yeah. This is like a lovely summer's day in England.
Yeah, I guess so, isn't it?
I've got to go
because
I've got a flight to catch.
Hey, all right, great, nice one.
Listen, all the best to you. Yeah.
Thank you.
Cheers. All right.
All right, now that we'd ticked the box labelled talked weather with movie star and paid a man to fix up our rolling shit heap, we hightailed it out of town and not a moment too soon. You see, being in the possession of a ferocious border collie pup, no motor camp would take us in, and so we parked up in a rest area by the lake out of town where the authorities then found us and issued us with a written warning. We apologised for bringing music and education to their town in our undies and headed for the hills, quite literally. You see, I banged on about taking this tour to the small towns and backwaters, and here is a fine example. It's the Bannockburn Hotel. Now, this was another show that I'd craftily booked to coincide with the Super 12 game, ensuring a pub full of locals in the hope that a few might even notice me there under the screen. As it turned out, though, the gig, the food and the accommodation were all better than the night before. Hell, we even got invited to a party the following evening by a couple of local gals. All inspired, Rick got jiggy with a 50-cent garage vacuum cleaner in an attempt to keep the growing kennel effect at bay. Alright, with the boat smelling a little less rank, cheers Rick, we pulled into Wanaka for a show at the beautiful Cinema Paradiso. This eccentric wee movie theatre come venue is the baby of local film buff Callum, and a good example of the chaotic nature of this level of touring. Pub, cafe, picture theatre, school, every gig's so different. How's a puffin to know which puffin to be? And then you got to come on directly following a showing of Donnie Darko. Tumiki. Okay, so we're in Bannockburn, or so we're back in Bannockburn because we played Wanaka tonight at Cinema Paradiso. Really cool show. But we skipped town, came straight back, packed up real fast, and came straight back here to Bannockburn because I played Bannockburn the night before, and there was a group of local girls there that said, "Oh, you should come to our party tomorrow night. We're having a party for our house because our house is turning 100 years old." Yes, well, it turned out to be a hell of a party. In fact, we ended up there for a few days chilling out with some special new friends. Oh, but the tour must go on, and the West Coast was calling. Not that stopped us begging and bribing our way into an interview with a one-hit wonder 80s pop star who was dodging a harsh European winter, hiding out in the Wanaka Hills, courtesy of a lovely couple that we'd met back at the Paradiso gig. Since 99 Love Balloons come out, back in, was it 1982?
Maybe it was 1981, I think, yeah.
So since then we haven't seen you in the music a lot, and you were talking about theatre, you've been doing theatre.
Yes, I think theatre is the better way to do things which are not so... I don't know the English word for that. So common, maybe, because I want to settle down. And after 99 Luftballons, it was really hard to go on the street and everybody, hello Nina, and it was not so comfortable to travel around, and because of that I'm in New Zealand and I hope nobody will know me. And
so would it be at all possible if you would just be able to sing us a little bit of 99 Luftballons?
Oh no, I told you not to ask me that.
Just maybe just the chorus, just to hear what the German words sound like. I haven't heard them for years.
No, I don't want to do it, no.
No?
Really.
Just a few words, just to like...
No, really, no, I don't like it, no.
Just a few words and things.
No.
No, you don't need. I'm sorry, you don't need to go away. Sorry, I don't mean to. We could talk about some other stuff. We don't have to talk about that. We could just maybe ask you about some, about what you were doing in the theatre and stuff, and I think we've upset the dog. No. Oh shit! Here, you take this. I'm gonna. Yeah, and while I contemplated my ability to scare off celebrities, I prepared another bland potpourri curry with anything that hadn't yet gone off or grown mould. Like the toilet and tape deck and water and TV, the fridge also didn't work, and you found yourself playing a daily game of, do you reckon that smells off? If you couldn't tell, you just cooked it a little bit longer and hoped for the best. Another daily routine was writing up the posters for the weeks ahead. 3,000 over course the tour. These ones here were posted at the Harvie Dairy later on that day, before we sped off towards the west coast. Rick was determined to film a sunset, and so I put the pedal to the metal and got the boat sailing as fast as she could go. Man, on the downhill, I could get that thing up to about 80 k's. We were going like the wind. Now, here's something you probably shouldn't try at home. Filming while driving. Definitely not a good idea. This is a vehicle runaway ramp. We hadn't seen one of these things until we came down here just now. I'm just about needed to use it because we burnt the brakes out of the Ratley tin bucket motorhome quite well. The whole thing stinks of asbestos. So I guess the idea is if you're in a really big truck and you're not using your gears, your brakes, all the brake stuff out, and you're flying down here like this, always veer across the road hoping there's no oncoming traffic and take off up here in the hope of that you do slow down before you get to the top and you don't just launch yourself off into the gates of Haast. I guess you've got to have the gates shut, otherwise anyone could get through, and once you let one person through, you've got to let everybody through. So if you're in a big truck, the way I see it, you're careering up here and you say to your co-driver, co-pilot, whatever, quick, get out and open the gates, man! Gets out, runs ahead like this, throws open the gates so the truck can fly into the stones. Now, I don't think we did the boat or our ears any favours, but we managed to make it in time to set up the tripod and get at least half a sunset. The next morning we slept in and once again had to fang it in order to make a high school workshop. I stopped just outside Greymouth to get changed and couldn't find my socks in the mess, lost it and punched up some storage crates and then arrived at the school with bleeding knuckles. Not a good look. An impromptu record store gig for a couple of tourists was followed by an evening show at a cool little cafe venue called DP1. See, the local radio station YFM had been thrashing my song Rock No More, so turnout was good and spirits were high. However, we crossed paths later that night with the guys in a touring jazz group called CL Bob, who fortuitously told us to expect a, quote, kick in the guts when attempting the middle of the North Island. What would they know? Yet there's no denying that Rick and I are a couple of right dreamers, and my quick surf here is a great example. With space at a premium, my 9-foot-long Melbourne came out only twice on the whole tour, while Rick's flash drum kit never even left the box. And yet somehow the boys thought they'd find the time to practice up a rock and power duo. Now, as we drove up the dead-end road towards the small town of Granity, we were passed by a convoy of cops. Turned out they were pulling plants and uprooting the local economy. Unsurprisingly, this didn't have a good effect on the vibe or the turnout for that night's show at Drifter's Cafe here. On a lighter note though, a car full of our friends came over from Christchurch for the show, stayed the night and helped us with a major dung out the next morning. Now, after much debate, it was decided to send the little girl home with them, as she was spending too much time locked inside and appeared to be showing the signs of an onset of depression. This was a hard moment for me and we both really miss her company. Now, while stopping for a tea break by the river the next morning, we heard the sad sound of a lonely clarinet and discovered this man playing it on a wee island surrounded by tidal surges. I guess that's what you should expect on the coast, but bloody hell, was he put there by some disappointed dog god or what? A little further up the valley, we stopped to psych ourselves up for an interview with one of New Zealand's great film artists. Name, Alan Bollinger. One-time member of Bruno Lawrence's Electric Revelation and Travelling Apparition, or Blurter, and multi-award-winning cinematographer for films such as Goodbye Pork Pie, Heavenly Creatures, The Piano, and Lord of the Rings. So spare a thought for Rick here behind his own camera. Oh yeah, and our motorhome, which just didn't measure up. This is the man himself, Al Boll, showing us around his own motorhome. and sparing us a bit of his precious time to share with us his thoughts about the evolving New Zealand film industry.
I've witnessed it a wee bit with young filmmakers that they're prepared to make the compromises, if you like. If there's someone with money who'll say, well, can you do it for less? Well, sure, because you want to have a crack at it, Oh, and can you change the script so that it's more this and get rid of these, like the Americans won't understand this language. Oh, well, sure, I feel that one of the problems in Hollywood is that you've got the money people making the decisions.
About the ideas.
About the ideas. So you're going to be, if you've got a far out idea, unless you're prepared to shoot it on a digital handycam or jump through all sorts of hoops and probably compromise the idea along the way, you're not going to, you've got two chances of getting it made, and they're both fairly slim.
And so we drove off into the night, inspired by the wise words of Al Bowl, looking for a flat place to pull up and wondering how a couple of neo-bogans like ourselves would handle the next few shows in Golden Bay. I don't really know why the hippie lifestyle raised my heckles like it does. Maybe it's too close to the bone. What I can tell you though is that the Muscle Inn in Takaka was the only venue on the whole tour that came standard with composting toilets and little buckets of sawdust. And then the locals turned up en masse, the owners were lovely, the food and accommodation was great, and the gig went off. I know, maybe I should swap my quip for a few dirty dreads. Yeah, no. While the leaves are on the ground again, there's ice up at the rivers, and I wave goodbye. Another friend heads north. Oh, they reckon that they can't face the cold. It reminds us how we're getting older. I guess I'd rather put that shoulder forth. Oh yeah. But hey, the sky looks different now. Hazy blue, high tension power line. Oh, and in good time, yeah. While up the back of the creek runs stronger, flannel sheets, nights are longer still. I guess some will kill. Ah yeah, weirdly appropriate sentiment as we pass by the Dodgy sports bar in Motueka. Having spent the afternoon singing up the Takaka caves and teaching the students of Mott High how to use an old 4-track, I was in a good frame of mind for this evening's show at Hot Mama's. But while the turnout was good, there was a weird vibe going around. Thought it must be me until later on that night, we reckon we figured it out. You see, finding a flat place to park up was an ongoing struggle and impossible to judge from inside the cab, and so Rick could try and guide me to it like a lollipop man on the runway. Now this can get pretty frustrating pretty fast at 3 in the morning, and when you finally do settle on a place, crawl into bed and turn off the torch, 10 minutes later you have to change ends because your head's higher than your feet or you're rolling off the edge. And this night, all our best efforts went unrewarded, and we got to thinking that maybe the whole place was on a bit of a lean. Right, well, come the next morning, we found our way to a nearby friend's place where we indulged in a much-needed shower, a washing machine, a healthy breakfast of plums, and in true Mott style, a bit of backyard shoot-em-ups. Yeah, all right, calm down, you good old boys. Grab a bag of plums and get yourself back out on the road. I mean, after all, there's only a couple of shows left now on this first leg of the South Island. Now, I'd never played the city of Nelson before, meaning I had no real contacts on the ground, and so I was stoked to see the posters had actually made it up. It's always a good sign. And then we spent a sleepless night in a car park full of burnouts and boy races before dragging our sorry asses into Fresh FM here for a little early morning promo. Now, I really dig these little indie stations, although, didn't I see that high school kid in a car park last night?
Well, the boys like their sleep-ins. They only get a couple of them a week. But this morning, a bit of an opportunity arose. You see, we're in a trailer park in Nelson this morning. The sun hasn't quite got up yet, but I know about trailer parks. I know that big things come out of trailer parks. We've seen 8 Mile. M&N came from a trailer park, you see. He's huge. So we thought we'd go around the trailer park. There's quite a few people live here permanently, up Back Valley in Nelson. We thought we'd go around and see if we could find something huge as well. And we did.
Your tanning side of it is quite involved. It's similar to painting a house. You do a coat and then you wait for it to dry, and you do another coat. It normally takes me about 48 hours to complete all my tanning. So when you go on stage, you're absolutely, well, you're just about black, really.
What sort of music do you have behind you when you're doing your that stuff?
Something maybe a little bit heavy. I've done a little bit of Queen as well, also a bit of Marilyn Manson. And it's basically up to you what you do. You've got 60 seconds on stage.
Yeah, and this was the off-season. He reckoned he was out of shape. He ate 96 egg whites a week when he was dieting down and was staying at the camp while his house was repainted. I mean, this is the motivation behind touring solo. I mean, sure, it has its lonely moments, but when you're rolling with a big, noisy bunch of boys, strangers like this guy would hardly invite you down to the gym to teach you the compulsory poses for the Mr. Universe competition. Yeah, but having spent more time in the gym than I had my entire life, we were now running late for a midnight ferry crossing. We're pushing our baby to near breaking point. Not that any other traffic seemed to notice. But there it was, the end of Leg 1, the South Island, pretty much conquered. And I say pretty much because we wouldn't complete the loop through Blenheim and Kaikoura for another 2.5 months, and that'd be on the way home. A distant thought indeed. Yes, the boys were feeling pretty upbeat at this point. No fisticuffs, no real shit gigs. Hell, I'd even had to order a few more tour t-shirts. But did we let this fill us with a false sense of security? Hell yes, bring on the North Island.
Ladies and gentlemen, just one final announcement tonight. If you want to partake in an ice cream cone, you might want to pop up to the top deck. There's a beautiful vista of Picton disappearing. The lights are picking over there in the moon, coming and going behind the clouds up there in the sky. So very nice. Otherwise, you can go down, get yourself one of those shitty pies, and a couple of this grey stuff they call coffee. We're going to go and see if we can see the purser and get ourselves a bit of a tour through the engine, through the staff quarters, and maybe all the way up to the bridge. And we're going to check out the cricket score and have a couple of beers. Right. There we go.
Here we go, ready?
Yeah, and so the tour rolled into Wellington, where our first engagement was with a low-priority crew from TVNZ's groundbreaking breakfast news team. They asked me some probing questions like, is your real name Puffin and how long have you played the guitar? The promotional juggernaut then continued with a trip to BNet station Radioactive. Now I got stuck in a big traffic jam on the way though, due ironically to a bomb scare evacuation from the More FM building in the central city. So we did half the interview on the phone, and then the car next to me in the jam recognised the description of the boat and started passing beers into the boys through the window. And when we finally made it into the station, there were laughs all round at More FM's expense. Ended up playing a couple of songs live to air, gave away a few tickets for that night's show, and then headed across the road to build on the Poems from Politicians idea that had grown following our Tim Shadbolt experience way back down there in Southland.
This is the lament for Barney Flanagan, the licensee of the Hesperus Hotel, and it's by James K. Baxter. Flanagan got up on a Saturday morning, pulled on his pants while the coffee was warming. He didn't remember the doctor's warning. Your heart's too big, Mr. Flanagan. Barney Flanagan sprang like a frog from a wet root in an Irish bog. May his soul escape from the tooth of the dog. God have mercy on Flanagan.
And one of the best things about touring is catching up with the old relocated Christchurch massive, indulging in a few Smiths covers and a healthy bit of industry bashing. Now that was the first time I performed at the new Bar Bodega. Bigger, flasher, cleaner, and a real step backwards from the stinking old shite hole that I'd come to love over the years. But that quickly faded into the distance as we headed north towards Masterton, where an early sound check allowed us to take the cameras out on the high street and see what the locals were up to.
And blaze with me, 2 in the morning and we still high-assed out. Screaming thug till I died before I passed out. And now that you're gone, I'm in the zone thinking I don't wanna die all alone. But now you're gone, and all I got left is sticking memories. I love that nigga to death, I'm drinking Hennessy.
Unfortunately, the turnout at Cafe Strata was almost as thin as that guy's Kiwi accent. The owner put up about 4 of the 50 posts I'd sent him, and only half a dozen people showed up. Oh well, you gotta expect the odd shit gig, I guess. Now, passing through the small towns of Eketahuna and Woodville, I pulled up short after seeing an unlikely looking building with what I thought was the word radio written on it. Now, it couldn't possibly be one of the majors, and so just in case it was a going concern, I grabbed a CD and poster and went down the street to check it out, and hang on, it's Radio Woodville, and hang on some more, there's someone on air and it's a Saturday afternoon, don't they know they could just pipe it in from Auckland? So they playlisted my song Hazy Blue on the spot. I could hardly believe my luck, and as I left, I could actually hear the song playing across the road at the Super Value. Man, now that is what I call really real, eh? Next stop, Waipukaro, in the Waipukaro Community Hall.
Well, dearly beloved, we're not gathered here at the Waipukaro Community Hall, the little theatre I've been so excited about in this tour. Really want to play the little theatre, the town hall. The home show was going to come along and do something on this. That's not happening anymore. We've turned up here in Waipukurau. 3 weeks ago I sent the information, the posters, the press releases and stuff to the local council, who said, yeah, it'd be great to get something happening for the kids and get some original music through town and stuff. We miss out so often, you know, so it was great. Okay then, so I sent the promotional people at the council my stuff, and they got excited. And a week ago I gave them a ring to see how it was going, and that's right, yeah, well, I haven't actually put anything up yet, but don't worry about it, good. We'll get a real buzz going for it. So we've turned up here. There's no one here let us into the hall. Not even on the board out the front have they stuck the posters up. So nobody knows the show's on. It's supposed to be $10 on the door. So at the moment I'm feeling, this is probably the lowest point of the tour so far. Not wanting to be as out of pocket, completely out of pocket this week, which is looking very likely at this point, we've gone across the road to the Leopard Hotel. Lovely people at the Leopard Hotel. I gave them a bit of a story and said, look, this is what's happened. I'm in town, I've got a whole lot of musical equipment, I can play songs. Can I play at your pub tonight? They had no other entertainment booked, so they said, we can probably give you a couple $100 to come and play here tonight. No notice, no advertising or anything. It's going to be hard work, and I said, well, I guess it's going to be hard work, but you know, $200 is $200, otherwise what do I pay the fucking fuel with? So, and the ferry ride across here and all of that shit. So we're going to now go and set up in the sports bar of the Leopard Hotel in Waipukurau, and it's goodbye to the little theatre. I would have loved to have played here, and the council has let me down. Very much so. Very disappointing. Not depressing. And I've got to lift myself up and do a gig tonight in a place where I imagine I'll be lucky if I can play 2 or 3 originals. A whole lot of exponent songs. That's alright, I don't mind that. We'll make it happen, eh? Yeah, okay, so we made it happen, but was it worth it for the $200 on offer? And not even close. So we drove through the night to get the hell away from what would hopefully be the worst gig on tour. Maybe a few hours in the ocean will wash the memories away. And it went like this. A few of the local rugby clubs were having a pre-season social piss-up at the Leopard Hotel, and they'd been there since the early afternoon. They didn't want me, and vice versa. I tried playing an original, but management sent out a junior to inform me that if I played any more of my own shit, I wouldn't get paid. Now, unfortunately, I don't know how to play Sweet Home Alabama, which was a shame because they kept requesting and it would have suited the whole to the ground. Some guy was so munted that when he attempted the solo mosh, he threw up just beside the stage area, and when I took a break, I slipped in his vomit, getting it all over my trouser leg and hand and busting the lead plug on my guitar as I went down. As soon as I could, I finished, and together me and Rick performed the fastest pack-up in the history of rock and roll. Where's the chicken wire when you need it? But it got even worse. About 1:30 a.m, we were all packed up, sitting in the boat, just in the process of talking a couple of the only sober locals into purchasing a CD, when the back door crashes open and in stumbles a mess of a young man, eyes more glazed over than a Thanksgiving turkey. What the hell are you doing, man? You can't be taking a piss in our motorhome. Man, get the fuck out of here. But pissing is not his plan. No, instead we stand aghast, not sure what to do, as he starts to try and get himself hard, which is not possible in his state. And then I realise that he's right under the glare of a halogen spot. The Super 8 camera's right beside me on top of the fridge. I pick it up and I start to shoot, cause no one will ever believe me, and anyway it probably won't come out. But I'm sorry, it did. And
And no, it's not some sick jacker, but sure as hell ain't me or Rick or anyone we know. And what happened next is even sicker. He looks up and sees me filming and gets even more excited. Not that his blood paid any attention. Next thing we know is slapping his balls and banging his flaccid member against the wall of the toilet unit, a spot which we would avoid forever. Realising the error of my ways, I swap the camera for my 45 copy BB pistol and get all gangster on it to start yelling, "Get the cock out of the boat!" The two other guys are freaking out and dive out the door as Rick grabs the wanker by the hair and chucks him out onto the gravel of the car park. We spin the wheels of the motorhome and take off into the night. And so now here I am, bobbing around on the surf, trying to put all that behind me when I see an old woman dragging a brick along the beach with a stick and a rope. Is this the North Island we've come to tour? Rick, man, I'm scared now and I just want to go home.
I've only done this since January type time. I got sick of people being all over and belting the band, like when the people, when holiday makers are staying in here.
Oh, okay.
Because I live here year round.
Oh, you're a permanent. You live here permanently.
Yeah. People were right up against my van, even though I had sort of bits across, so I decided I'd build a vault.
Yes, and while she was rebuilding walls, Rod Heaps was rebuilding tanks. After relaying the Waipukaro incident to the owner of the Teawonga motor camp where we were staying, he got on the phone and organised us a bit of a spin around the town in this thing. And as the weird got weirder, leading the news that evening in the TV room back at the camp was a story of how America had reignited its oil war on Iraq. Hell, probably looked like we were off to join in. We'd always try and find ourselves someplace interesting to stay, somewhere that gave us a feel for the area and preferably didn't cost anything. And every Thursday morning I'd ring back and report in on the week's memorable events with RDU, the BNet station in my faraway hometown of Christchurch. This week I had no shortage of stories, but as I ranted away with my coffee on a rock, I noticed this big white thing on the very top of the hill. Of course, curiosity got the better of me and I found myself talking to a brave man who holds the New Zealand record for the longest fixed-wing glider flight. That's what this piece of plastic is, a fixed-wing glider. His record is 173 kilometres, and this morning he reckons he just might break it. He's going to try for 180 k's and fly all the way to Masterton. Now, having just come from there, I suggest that he may want to head in the opposite direction and that flying into the ocean might just prove a more favourable outcome. Yes, okay, it wasn't the most appropriate joke, but as he got ready to throw himself off the edge of a cliff, Rick positioned himself with his flash digital eye with my Super 8 out on the edge there, and then he's getting ready to run, and Rick's got his digital, and I've got my Super 8. He throws himself the hill, cut to the Super 8, cut back to the digital, cut back to the Super 8. Oh, somebody give the boys an Oscar. Right, so a few hours later, we're in the car park of a local high school, where it turns out that I'm not the only one getting myself prepared for the afternoon's classes. Rick just happened to see these guys through the window of the motorhome. Guy looked all around him nervously. The only thing he didn't see was Rick's camera about 5 feet away. See, this is precisely what I'm talking about. It's this kind of behaviour which is going to send this country down the bloody gurgler, mate. Mark my words. Now, here we are. We're in Napier. It's the eighth week of the tour, so we're halfway through the tour. Tonight we're playing in O'Flaherty's Irish pub. Probably the name's the only thing Irish about it. So we're playing in there, and the guy said he wanted 50 posters. 50 posters put out around Napier. Had a good look around, and we found the 5 that he put up around the building, and that was it. So it's always hard. It's hard to, I mean, you think he'd want to put them up so that he'd get more people to the show, but I particularly want the fucking things up. I'm trying to promote the tour, and I want to sell a few CDs and try and pay the fucking gas bills and hireage, the motorhome bills and things. But, you know, you can't get angry because you've got to go on stage in about 3/4 of an hour and play your song. So there's already 4 people in there waiting for the show, and the hard thing, you know, just after doing, what's this? This is the 20-something show, I think. We've got to try and pick yourself up and do it like it's the 5th show, I guess. Hey, I don't wanna rock no more. I wanna make you shake on a best-stained dance floor. Like a rerun TV show, you got the same old words, the moves, and we all know why. She had to let him pass because she met an And so as the sun rose on the second half of the tour, I fantasised about having a promo person who'd travel a couple of weeks ahead to make sure the bloody posters were up. I don't need to tell you how hard it is to come on stage in front of half a dozen people, but so far this is how the North Island was shaping up. Not that I hadn't been warned way back in Greymouth by Sea Old Bob, but shit, it was hard not to lose heart. I should have scheduled in a decent break, maybe split the tour in parts. Yep, theory and reality were becoming distant islands in a sea of despondency, and I was seriously considering bailing out. Rick was holding it together though, and always encouraged me to kick back, regather and have a bit of fun on our occasional day off. Otherwise there was a growing danger that we just might want to rock no more.
It's a 2-day-old chicken. Yeah, we're cooking the shit out of it because it's been in the fridge. It hasn't been turned on, so we could be coming up with a little bit of salmonella duff perhaps on the way down the track. So.
We're 12 hours from Narrake.
Yeah, we're heading up the East Cape, so if the doco takes a little turn for the worse, then perhaps we won't be doing any filming for a while.
Well, fortunately the odds still seem to be in our favour regarding chicken roulette, and after a big week that started in Waipukurau and ended in Gisborne, 8 shows and all, we now had a few days in which to take the long way around East Cape. Tolaga Bay, Ruatoria, here we come. Right, so this is the beautiful Tolaga Bay motor camp, and this morning was the first anniversary of my mum's passing. So I got up real early and went out to watch the sunrise at the end of the really long Tolaga Bay wharf there and took my little kid's fishing rod hoping to catch a herring or two. But that's just not the way things worked out. I sat there for a while getting nothing, and then bang, it was all on, and after about an hour of fighting, me and my little snap-together rod, with a lot of help from a local Māori guy named Harvie, landed this 40 kg 6-gill school shark. Old bugger Rick missed out on all the live action because he was still fast asleep in bed. Next, we took it back out to the end of the wharf and did a quick publicity shoot for a busload of American tourists. And then Harvie showed me how to fillet it and take the jaws out. He took half the fish back to his marae and we took ours back to the camp and gave most of it to a school group that was there keeping a wee slab for that night's green fish curry. Don't know why he's headbutting that goat. Still, it was a hell of a way to spend what should have been a sad old day. Never can tell how things are going to work out. Yeah, Tolaga Bay had been good to us. A couple of big sleeps and a bit of yoga for Rick, and then it was off around the Cape, where the next stop on the map was Ruatoria, or more specifically, Ngāti Porou Radio. Here I traded song for waiata with a cool group of wahine who take phone requests and then actually play those songs live on air. Yeah, and I think I'm keeping it real. If saying goodbye to the East Cape wasn't hard enough already, it sure as hell wasn't made any easier by the torrential rain that revealed a few more exciting leaks in the cab, nor a full-on week ahead with shows and workshops in Whakatane, Rotorua and Tauranga, or just to add icing to the cake of despair, the fact that one of my childhood heroes, Bruce Springsteen, was playing his only ever New Zealand show in Auckland at exactly the same time that I would be on stage at Barbarella's in Rotorua. And you know those distorted calls you get from a friend at a wicked gig? Well, I got 2 of them while psyching myself up to go on stage to a handful of people. Oh well, at least it rained on both of us. Now just about any singer who's ever toured will tell you that their biggest ongoing headache ain't their hangover, it's their voice. Some mornings I'd wake up and hardly be able to speak. And there's no magic cure or little pill to make it come back. The best thing you can do is just keep your mouth shut, which I admit's not one of my strong points. Stopping to watch a local game of footy's one distraction. Cranking up the stereo so you can't talk while you drive is another. Although at times we must have looked like a married couple returning home from a swingers night. Now this particular day I thought I was stuffed. Thought I'd actually have to cancel the show. And so we stopped on the outskirts of Tauranga and went through a herbal tea warm-up routine, singing into a towel, and some more singing into a towel. In the end I decided I could grin and bear it, only to find that when I arrived in Tauranga at the said venue, which was Crazy Jack's, Crazy Jack himself was so crazy that he'd double booked me with some hard rock and covers band. Man, Tauranga is a scary place, eh? This turned out to be another one of those chicken wire shows. Cops turned up while I was actually playing and dragged off some guy who apparently tried to knife some other guy. After the show had finished, we went for a drive around town and found ourselves asking the question, what are these people all running from?
Once the days were clear, like mountains and water, and the mountains were always there, and the mountain water. And I was a fool leaving good land to moulder, leaving the fences sagging and the old man older, to follow my wild thoughts away over the hill, where there's only the world, and the world's ill.
Oh, true, Winston. Spoken like a real gentleman, just a dash of diplomat and shaken, not stirred. Right, here we are arriving in Whangamata. Our first stop is the Whangamata Area School, years 1 right through 13. Now these kids here enthusiastically giving me the west side sign, and I guess they meant the west side of Whangamata, because as a town it's about as east as you can get. Now after a tough start, the workshop came together well, so here's hoping the posters are up and tonight's gig goes the same way.
Ladies and gentlemen, he's on a nationwide tour of the country at the moment, 3/4 of the way through it right now, playing in the Coromandel. I'd like you to put both of your hands together, please, for Mr. Lindon Puffin!
I wish I could tell you this was just some silly, dramatic recreation, but no, man, this is the actual show. They hadn't put up any posters at all, and I started just one foreign guy who happened to be there writing a letter back home. I remember calling my dad just before I went on, needing some encouragement. But hey, here's why you gotta go through with the show. After about half an hour of playing to just one guy, a bus full of mostly busty girls from the New Zealand Navy Band turned up, having finished a show at the local pipe band hall. Now they danced and sang all night and bought a bunch of t-shirts and CDs, and I love this touring thing. Take me up the Coromandel. So here's what we got to thinking as we rattled our way up the coast. When a bus full of girls turns up at an empty show, man, that's gotta be a sign, maybe even a turning point. Well, the next night at the eccentric cafe in Whangamata, the gig went off. It's a cool place, great food. Hey, the owner even put together a special Lindon Puffin menu for the diners, not to mention buying an ad in the paper and actually putting up the posters. After all the shit we'd been through recently, it was almost too much. I feel a poem coming on.
A wind-puffed bonnet of fawn froth turns and twindles over the broth of a pool so pitch black, fell frowning, it rounds and rounds, despair to drowning. Degged with dew, dappled with dew, are the groins of the braes that the brook treads through, wiry heath packs, flitches of fern, and the bead bonny ash that sits over the burn.
Heading into the big city could have been a lot more depressing if we hadn't gone to the trouble of writing a fistful of letters and promising that if we got a couple of free return flights to Great Barrier Island, we would mention Great Barrier Airlines in our film. Goodbye Auckland, hello paradise. Well, if we keep ourselves warm, if we keep ourselves high, shortly the dawn will light up the sky, yeah. But we can't hide under the sand, so come on, pick up my hand, 'cause tonight we'll lie here together, we're sharing our warmth, we'll fend off the weather. They tell me the stars, they go on forever and ever, and while that blows me away, well, I was rather hoping you'd say, hey, 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 let's cast away. Talk about a couple of willing castaways, alright? What an incredible place. Not to mention the owners of the Karakai Irish pub where we were playing later on that night organised us the loan of that convertible mini-moke in order that we check out the island proper. As a performer travelling for hours to get to venues, you can tell pretty much instantly whether you're appreciated or not. And so it's not always a convertible, maybe just a drink or a meal or something, but it makes all the difference to your attitude and feeling toward the show. With Phil and Moira, who own this place, it was as if we were long lost friends, and subsequently I played my longest show on tour, 5 hours straight, following which the locals who turned up en masse took us off to the lookout point for a new perspective on the island. I'm not really sure what happened next. Apparently I dived out of a moving car. All I know is that I woke up in a bus shelter the next morning to the sound of birds and bush. We made some special new friends, fishing trips and midnight swims. I think it's that careful balance between bogan and hippie. Anyway, it's just what our cynical minds needed, even if our livers didn't. Now we did as we were told, went and checked out the island in our mini moke, and of course met a couple of interesting locals while we were at it. Young fella?
Good.
Lyndon, my name, what's your name?
Tyler.
Tyler.
Hey, London! It's the best place where you can live. There's no wind or no rain up there. It's just sunny hell. Because the rain can't get over that mountain, and the sun can. See, look, the sun's shining right up there, but not down here. That's what I do to my brother. He doesn't want to fight, and he's real lazy. And I steal his bucket and ride down to the shop, get me a drink, and he says, "Can I have a drink?" And I say, "Yep." And I come back with only a Bob the Builder drink just for me, and no other drink, just one drink, and just cold chips.
That's right, on the island he's known as Cold Chips Tyler. Even managed to talk our way into a horse trek along the beach with Anwin.
Everyone knows everyone and everything about everyone.
So does that sort of make kind of relationships and stuff pretty hard?
Yeah,
you know.
Yeah, it does. It makes relationships hard, and it makes family life extremely hard. Because when you're like this big starting to smoke cigarettes, everyone knows, and so you're in a lot of shit and everything goes down. You can't keep secrets on the island.
Unfortunately, secrets weren't the only thing you couldn't keep on the island, and after an extended stay of 3 days, we headed back to the grassy airstrip, abandoned our much beloved mini moke, said goodbye to our new friends, and headed back to the big smoke and the Northland leg of this endless tour. Yep, come back from Great Barrier Island, and it's culminated in throwing up everything I've eaten. So I don't know whether it's food poisoning, whether it's exhaustion, but I've just had that moment's reprieve between chucking up. It must be everything I ate today, because it can't be anything more than that, and I don't eat any more than that. And I just have to hope that tomorrow I feel better, because I've got to go and teach at supposed to be teaching at Carmel High School in Whangarei tomorrow, and then Friday at Kirikiri High, and a gig course in Kirikiri as well at the Citrus Bar. And tomorrow night, Reavers in Whangarei. And I was fucking so exhausted today, so I don't know. Don't want to cancel any shows, that was the point, you know, to see if I can do it without cancelling any shows. Guess I was working on the theory that you've got to punish your body so it knows who the boss is and doesn't try anything silly like breaking down on you in the middle of a tour. Okay, so maybe it's not the most responsible method, but when was rock and roll ever about responsibility? But oh man, my liver and kidneys are all swollen and I can't stop throwing up. Ah shit, Rick, I think I might have hit the wall. So I did the unthinkable and cancelled that night show in Whangarei and pulled into a motor camp to sleep it off. Now this is not the way I normally pay for hallucinations, so I think we better take my internal organs to the Whangaroa Medical Centre in Northland. Their diagnosis? Possible hepatitis. So they sent me straight back down to a hospital in Whangarei who took a raft of blood tests and armed me with antibiotics and anti-nauseas, and even convinced me to take the next week off while I waited for the test results that could not only end the tour but, you know, fuck with the big picture. Man, it was pretty low key in the cab at this point. On the way back to Auckland, I called into Warkworth to visit my friends in a band called the Brunettes. They were busy demoing their next album and preparing for a world tour. At that point, a world tour smelled as attractive as the way stale fish and chips do in a cold car after you come out of the movies. Not that I bothered to share this analogy with them. I mean, they all had working livers and big smiles. Well, they waved us goodbye and we wished each other the best, but these were pretty tense times. My good friends Ollie and Nikki were living out at Bethel's Beach overlooking the rugged west coast of Auckland. The school holidays were upon us now, meaning I had no workshops, which own way was good timing. So I cancelled the remaining Northland shows, lay down and slept for almost a fortnight, and slowly our energy and enthusiasm came back, as did the test results. Hepatitis? Negative. It was just good old mineral dehydration, and I learnt that beer is not the same as water. It was time to shave and get the show back on the road. Right, the first stop was Tangaroa College in South Auckland, and a date with TVNZ's youth-focused news and magazine show called Flipside. You see, it was now May, and New Zealand Music Month was upon us. Now, I was a little worried that these guys might try and spin it as some kind of white boy do-gooder piece, but while it was a light and fluffy box of cliches, and they got pretty in your face with their cameras, it didn't come out too bad. I felt like I had a bit of the original spring back in my step, and the workshop went well, although at times it was hard to tell who was teaching who. I mean, just check out this guy's flow.
Right, time for a quick look at showbiz headlines.
Oh, give me those showbiz headlines, Mr. Puru. We parked the boat up on Queen Street for that night's gig at one of Auckland's most respected live original music venues, The Temple. Don't look for it, it's not there anymore due to residential development and moronic council bylaws. But this was the first show in a couple of weeks, and as such, Rick thought it appropriate to kick things off the way we'd started.
He should be winning a tui for keeping it really real. You're all here to see him tonight. He plays in Auckland, and I'd like to put your hands together, please, for Mr. Lindon Puffin.
Man, I was so blown away when we got a full house at $10 a head. Plus I got to play with my old mates James and Ben from the Brunettes and the Heavy Jones trio. And then we were finally southward bound once more, free-falling through the prefixes, the 09s, 07s, 06s. We could almost smell the mainland, or maybe that was the North Island's version of Blenheim, Hamilton. With RockQuest fast approaching, I'd been moved from the classroom into the band room, and with no teacher hanging over me, we got down to the business of rock and roll. In fact, kids, when it comes to rock and roll, Fuhrer is hardcore and as genuinely mad as Marksy Marks from Mobile Stud Unit.
History of the MSU in a minute and a half. MSU started in 1992 when we decided to go busking. We won a busking competition. We had a sign out that said raising funds for drug and alcohol abuse, which gave us a cause, and we won that busking competition. So we decided to formalise it, entered another busking competition, won that, and we ended up playing support. The prize was playing support for the Mutton Birds at orientation that night at the university. So we played for the Mutton Birds. Don McDashin called us a bunch of pissed wankers, and we thought that was fairly encouraging, so we carried on from there. We've been playing for 10 years now. We've toured the country 3 or 4 times. We've had 10 band members through. I'm the sole remaining band member. I'm not quite as bad, and I'm easy to get on with, unlike Martin Phillips. But we have had a few people come and go. This is a change of circumstance rather than musical fight styles, that sort of thing. We describe ourselves as being a cross between Eminem, the Sex Pistols and Fred Dagg. And I was shot still on the dog, but I wasn't a very good dog bludger. The hours were good, but the pay was lousy, except for the week when I cleaned up at Housey. And I wish I was a rock star, but I'm not a very good musician. For one, I've got a poor command of the English language, which means I'm not all that good at saying important stuff and that sort of stuff. So for now, I'm a salesman, but I'm no good at sales. I'm not the kind of guy who can sell human blood to fleas or toast to amputees, or even advertising for telecom directories, which is a shame for them, because I've just hired me.
Yep, after a hard night on it with Marksy, during which he made me hit golf balls at him while he ran around the park next door with a torch under his face, we headed off towards the Naki via gigs at Waikato Uni and Raglan en route. Now, contrary to popular belief, New Plymouth has a couple of things going for it, and while it's definitely not the venues, it has Lenlai's Windwand and a controversial photographer named Fiona Clark, who lives under the shadow of the mountain in an old milk factory next to a defunct mental asylum. Much of her work has been banned from exhibitions since the mid-70s, so we thought we'd let her corrupt our innocent minds with her beautiful work.
People are still writing, these are not gay snapshots, get over it. It's the photograph first, and it's a bloody good photograph. Forget the rest of your problems.
This is one of the works that caused her a lot of problems. Diane and Tina flashing their hormone tips and Diane looking like she needs an abortion. How many boys would either like to suck these tits or have them for your very own? I bet you all would. Well, maybe not this guy. See, I dragged him out of a local garage to assess the structural damage that occurred when we got trapped between a tree feature, a Millennium rubbish bin, and a really selfishly parked Mini. After the cops couldn't find a tow truck and split, we bit the bullet and just drove through the lot. You see, the show had been infected by skinheads and we were really keen to leave town and just keep heading south.
Lives in a town across the lake. He's got a heart about to break. The water between them feels so deep, as deep as advertising. Saving his money for the ferry boat, pawning his car to buy a fake fur coat. He wants to impress her with where he's at, 'cause she's into art and stuff like that.
Well, Palmerston North barely warrants a mention, except that our original venue, the Greenstone Arts Cafe, had closed down since we booked it and had to be replaced at the last moment by Governor's Sports Bar and the worst meal on the entire tour, the Bloke's Burger. To quote the bar manager that night, "More guys pick up skirt in this bar than any other in Palmy, mate." Yeah, cheers, thanks man. Strangely, we didn't take his advice, worried that the so-called skirt might be as sloppy and processed as his burgers. But hey, we were about to complete the entire loop of the North Island as we backed up traffic once more and drove toward Wellington in the evening sun. Tomorrow I look forward to a show at Victoria University and the most important interview on the whole tour, that with the national program and the very beautiful Julie Hill. Okay, so here I am trying to sound as upbeat and as uncynical as an exhausted man can who's just hanging on and leaning for the finish line. But I wasn't happy with the way things were going. I thought I sounded like a wanker. Julie suggested I try singing a song to get me back in the zone, but I'd left my voice in the smoke-stained carpet back at Governor's Sports Bar, and what happens next I'll be forever ashamed of. I cracked. I threw the guitar down and punched in one of the walls. Julie picked up her keys and ran out of the room. Rick chased her, apologising for me as he went, and the man behind the glass, he just recorded it all. I'm still apologising to Julie to this day. Sure, I was strung out, but that's no excuse for throwing an Elton John. We tried to resume the interview, but what's broken's broken. And while we agreed I probably should come back and try it all again tomorrow before catching the ferry, it never happened. Apparently they still cut it up and put it on air, and apparently it didn't sound that bad. Now I was too scared to listen. I just split and sought solace at the place that my dad used to always take me when we visited Wellington. Yeah man, it was the Wellington Zoo. Every time we came here it was the same thing for me. I wasn't really into the lions and tigers, or birds and crocodiles, or lizards and fish. I used to just spend ages sitting here in front of the chimp enclosure. Now I don't want to analyse it too much, but it did look like this fella was playing the guitar for me. Now as we headed back through Wellington on our way to the ferry, we just had one more stop to make.
I do not dream of Sussex Downs or quaint old England's quaint old towns. I think of what may yet be seen in Johnsonville and Geraldine.
But hang on, just as we were leaving, who should arrive at the Beehive but Coolio? He was there to rap about methamphetamine abuse with Jim and a million TV cameras. And then it was on to the Utahuta, where we talked our way backstage for an extensive tour through the engine room. Wasn't that the set from a Russian nuclear plant in a James Bond film? Now, old JJ here, he was the head engineer in charge of the whole shebang, and while we listened carefully for a Rusky accent, what we got was a demonstration on hip-hop dancing. Later we got to check out the bridge and the private quarters before being ushered upstairs for a chat with Captain Bob Nixon.
We had one instance a few years ago now. We had a transvestite who feigned pregnancy. She was actually a pregnant transvestite, you know.
Pregnant transvestite.
She had something stuffed under her shirt, you know, and she decided that she was going to give birth. And the medical officer at the time was the second officer, and he was, you know, this person had him fooled, you see. He thought it was genuine, you know, so they actually turned the ship round. I don't know the end of the story on that one, but
It's great.
It is a true story.
Man, I could hardly believe he told us that. But then I can hardly believe we'd actually made it back to the South Island at all. We'd now completed the crossover of our figure 8,000, but our joy was mixed with apprehension. I mean, tonight's show is in Blenheim. And then a full house turns up and it's the second highest grossing gig on tour. Man, I love this piece of land.
You remember me, The Clash, you know what I mean? It's just like, you know, a little punk but nice, shaped up, you know, and 70 and 80.
When someone compares you to The Clash, it's your lucky day. When a local lass offers you a post-gig backstage whipping, you return the favour, and you return it with all your golfing might. With about 2 hours sleep, I conducted my final workshop at Marlborough Boys College. Like my impression of the North Island? Or how about my equally shaky impression of the whole thing on the final morning?
Right. And this is it. 106 nights on the road. Great gigs, some fuck gigs, some great people, some real shitheads. And we're finally finished, I guess. Kaikoura last night, it's not one of those things you jump up and down and go, it just doesn't seem like that. But we're going home, we'll see our friends in 2 hours. And I'll be waiting there and hopefully we'll have ourselves a decent bit of a party and a press conference and a debriefing. 30 high schools. I didn't think we were going to pull it off, but at this point I'm too tired to be feeling really triumphant. Got no voice left. And yeah, we're pretty fucking good about the whole thing actually.
Amidst the surging traffic on a grass verge below emerging graphic images. Hard to keep a smile on my face. 1,000 miles of highway from here to my place. Trying to find an ounce of fun in the situation. Bored and more than a little bit impatient. Thumb out and our message is clear. Finally hitched the ride and at last we're out of there. Barely on our way, nearer close than far. No choosing when I'm begging, I'll take any kind of car. The bogan and the holder, thanks for the ride, buddy. The shower of shingles sure made our shoes muddy.
Agony, drags, it's a struggle to wait. Ridiculous thoughts, juggling rocks in a state. Flim flicks in the dust, flying from a spray of spit. There's nothing to do but pace or sit or look to the distance. Nature called, so we pissed in the grass, then pumped the fist for a horn blast. No name or map for the place that we're stuck in. Catching my hat, torn off in the truck wind. A tattered magazine on the road is for reading. Need to get where we're not yet, but hope is receding. A dirty look gets a string of finger replies. My virtual patience is in short supply.
it's impossible to put into words the way I felt as I turned off the Teddington Straight and back into the muddy driveway that had been so manically left behind us in the middle of summer. The thought of hanging out with my own friends and whānau was almost too much. Not that I'd left it to chance though. I've been on the phone all morning trying to whip up a bit of a gathering, and here's hoping they don't take a lead from the Waipukaro Council. And then there it was, my beautiful home sweet home. Yeah, and just like I predicted, no one had done the lawns in the whole time I was gone. Okay, so I guess they're not waiting on the balcony. But as I head inside with a full crate and a bottle of top shelf green ginger wine, I steady my nerves, knowing the tricky buggers will probably jump out from around the next corner and yell, "Surprise!" Hello? Is anybody home? God, I've missed this place. Although not half as much as I have my disappearing mates. Well, if this was a joke, I was starting to wear a little thin. And while I kept a brave face for the camera, my heart was sinking. The only place left to look now was up the hill at the back of the house, and man, if they weren't there. But as I approached the tree line, I saw someone running. I heard voices, and as I came out of the woods, there they were, gathered on the hilltop, and the buggers started cheering. And that was it. It was all over. I'd made it home.